Hey everybody, it's Mike and
Ellen.
And we're here back to you doing a top 5 pre-travel tips. So basically, we've kind of come up with a couple different conversation pieces for anyone traveling, and I know a lot of times pre-traveling is 95% of your planning of everything. So these are our top 5 favorite little tricks and tips.
Make it less stressful.
Number 5 is checked bag or carry-on. So whenever you fly, you have a couple different ways of carrying on luggage, whether it be all your clothes, all your other crap that you have going on. But basically, do you do checked? Do you do carry on? Right? So it's really up to anybody. I'll start with you, Ellen. I guess, how do you like to travel?
I definitely have opinions on this. I have not checked a bag in about 5+ years. At least. I do carry on. It's simple. I like that. You have less stuff to worry about. You don't have to get to the airport as early because you don't have to check your bag. And then when you're leaving your flight, you don't have to go to baggage claim. You can just get your bag out of the overhead bin and go. So that's personally, what I feel is the easiest way. Having a big carry-on or a check bag to lug around. Maybe you think you need all that stuff, but really you don't. You only wear, probably half the things you actually bring, even when you just have a carry-on. So I prefer to keep it light, and I honestly think that just makes your traveling a lot easier.
Yeah, so I like to carry the biggest bag possible, so I can carry every outfit and every
your entire wardrobe.
Styling products, computers, PlayStation 5. You gotta have it.
You can't leave home.
Can't leave a PlayStation 5, the Switch, the Steam Deck. Where would we be at these times? I would say I kind of have to agree. I think if you start traveling more often, you'll see a lot of people at the airports. This is how I always know. You'll see these people at the airports. You ever seen these people? Mm-hmm. They are dragging this big carry-on, and it's almost like you need 2 people. And I don't think there's enough time frame, and you can just see this on this end, but there's never a long enough time frame where you'll use every sort of clothes out there. Even on longer flights, I've been on weeks at a time. I will carry I don't know what you carry. I carry 5 different changes of clothes, more 5 different shirts, and maybe 3 different types of bottoms, whether it be pants, shorts, whatever. Yeah. Right? Mm-hmm. You do the same?
Yeah, I mean, you can always do laundry if you're on a longer trip. I think that's your better option than trying to plan an outfit for every single day.
Quarters.
Yeah, quarters for sure. Okay, so next question is top favorite airlines, and I guess why. So there's reasons why you might be loyal to one airline, maybe you're not at all. Mike, what do you think?
You're loyal?
Not really. I'm a cheater.
So I'm loyal to the price. The price is what matters, but I will not sacrifice the space. And I will say this, on cheaper flights, I've noticed that really depending on how you travel, you could definitely have less seat space, and it can definitely hamper your whole trip. And if you're like me and you like to sleep and you don't want to elbow fight people, space is really important. So any of them that have good space and a good price, the price is my value on it.
Okay, good answer. I tend to book with Southwest just because I don't always know if my trip is a sure thing. So what I like about Southwest is you can book and you can cancel. So you don't just have that typical 24-hour window to cancel. You have up until 10 minutes before the flight leaves to cancel. And depending on what fare level you book, you get either your money back or you get points, which again, if you know you're going to be traveling anyways, those points will come in handy at some point. So that's typically who I go with, but I kind of agree with you. If there's a better price, I will totally pick someone else. I don't care.
I am bougie.
Yeah.
Question number 3, planning. Stop playing with your cat.
Don't tell me what to do.
I'll tell her what to do. And you know what we're going to do? We're going to tell you how to plan your trip. So Like I said before, I'd say 95% of all really travel stuff is going to be planned beforehand, and like the pre-travel stuff is kind of difficult. So yeah, we were actually talking behind the scenes here, but planning is like such a big thing. So
Yeah.
I guess pre-travel tip number 3 is how to plan and plan well. Planning can save you thousands of dollars to really having a good time to regretting a trip, right? So I guess first and foremost, how do you find out where you want to go? I think for me when I was younger, I was lucky that I got like family that got me involved in traveling. But like,
Okay.
where how do you find out where to go? Like, what's the hot spot?
Yeah, I don't know. That's a good question. I think I just have an ongoing like bucket list of things that I want to see, which is of course constantly changing. But a good place to get ideas is
I personally
where do you get ideas?
Yeah, I personally use TripAdvisor. TripAdvisor is a
Okay.
really cool website app on your phone you can get, and I think it gives you ratings of a lot of stuff. I think a lot of the ratings are also like kind of fake.
Do you use TripAdvisor for like a whole city or for like specific activities in a city? Like how does that inspire you?
So I guess like being hit by like a travel bug early on, I would say you have to choose warm, cold, attractions, something of that nature, right? I think a couple of years back I went to Japan and I went there for a friend of mine. Me and him went out there and you've probably seen the videos on our thing. But it's kind of like I've always wanted to go. I wanted to see the culture, right? But when you use TripAdvisor, you can see what ratings everything has. I went to the robot restaurant and that had such good ratings. You can see kind of the pros and cons of everything, whether it be like price, whether it be crowded, when to go. Give you an example, it'd be like cherry blossom season in Japan, right? Like cherry blossom season is like the like raddest thing ever. The cherry blossoms pop up. It's just like your animes, but like it's also like the highest price stuff for flights, for
Yes.
for hotels.
Yes.
So
if you're
like
going when everyone else wants to go. Yep.
yeah, so I find my way by kind of going that route. But like, how do you know? Like, how do you know how you like it, or if you're gonna like it, or like?
Yeah, I mean, it's tough. I just do as much research as I can. I like to read a lot of blogs. I kind of, for our trip to Hawaii, which we just took, I did a lot of Googling just things to do in Hawaii or things to do in Waikiki, trying to hone in on different things and reading the blogs and figuring out, okay, here's the most, common attractions. Here's the sense of what I get from these blogs of what it's going to be like, and then deciding from there how you want to spend your time. I think that can be really useful, is just taking the experience of others and using it for yourself and deciding, does this work for me? I think TripAdvisor is good too. I like using that for me for more specific activities. We're
not sponsored.
Yeah, not sponsored, although maybe someday.
Maybe. Call me.
I really like TripAdvisor for like
WhatsApp
tour reviews. So if I'm looking at a certain tour, I think that can give you a really good sense of what the tour is like, how long it is, what other people's experience with it was, if it like kind of lives up to the description, things like that. So that's definitely one of my tools as well.
I would say realistically the best way to find out where you want to go is also like talk to your friends and family.
Absolutely.
Everyone has gone somewhere.
Yes.
And they'll be able to tell you like how much it costs, to everything, to how much they enjoyed it, right?
And they'll be excited to tell you too. Like ask someone about their vacation, where they went, what they did, what their recommendations are. I think most people are super excited that you would even ask their opinion. So I think that's a great resource.
So we have a destination. You say, hey, look, I'm going to Kansas City.
Yes.
She's laughing. Kansas City's good.
Kansas City? There's nothing wrong with Kansas City.
We go to Kansas City. Let's go. So, but like, okay, so you have the area. You kind of have an idea for like what kind of attractions. How do you plan it? Like what's the tip that you would give yourself? And we can make a bit longer video on something like this because it is like such a longer idea. But like, how do you plan what to do while you're there?
Yeah, I kind of already alluded to this, but I just like Googling things to do. I also love the website Atlas Obscura. Have you heard of that?
No.
It's like weird and unusual things to do, and I'm really into like ghost tours and like weird goth things. So like that's kind of my number one stop is when I know I'm going somewhere, I'm gonna look on Atlas Obscura and see what weird things are going on in that city and what I can do. So that's part of what I do. I also like Reddit a lot. If I'm going to go to a specific city, the subreddits are usually pretty helpful.
Milwaukee actually has a pretty good one.
Yeah.
Actually, it's actually pretty cool. Actually.
I mean, your mileage may vary, like, depending on how active the community is. But, like, for Hawaii, for example, they have one for, like, Hawaii in general. They have one for Hawaii visitors where you can just specifically ask questions as a tourist.
Oh, that's cool. I actually didn't know
yeah,
that.
so cool. It depends where you go, but, like, I think that can be really helpful, too.
Okay. As far as for me, planning-wise, I base it off of a couple different things. Location, distance, and what are your means for travel. So, like, when I went to Japan, everything was on a train. You can go to, like, Portland. Like, that's another place where you can probably travel a little bit better on train. Obviously, in the U.S., we have, like, Uber, Lyft, things of that nature, so it's a little easier to get around. But, like, so you get off the airport, and I like to base it off, like, I would say, like, a 30-minute thing. Around what's 30 minutes around my area, right?
That's a really good point.
And I even move hotels just based off of that. So like we would stay in one part of Japan and then take a Shinkansen, which
what's that?
It's like a super fast train that is like used with like magnets and like you're going like super duper fast. But like to get to another spot and then 30 minutes outside that range is kind of how I like to do it. But like I think a key part to all your planning is figuring out your days and weekdays versus weekends is like my travel tip for anybody because you could leave on a Friday and you could get a lot of stuff done on a weekend, but like you have to deal with crowds.
It's gonna be busier for sure.
It like sucks.
Yep.
And even for like some of the museums even like that I've been to, it's just like you're just packed to the brim and it's like going back to that elbow analogy, like you're just not having a good time, and for trips that's important. So like distance, travel, what I have available. Cool part, like an example for Japan, you can pay for like unlimited pay for like trains and stuff like that. So like you can go around and then you just pay a one-time fee. It's a little bit more expensive
really cool.
unless you like plan it out, but like. It's a way that you can do that, but you can base your trip around that.
If you know you're going to be using it every day, that's totally worth it.
Yeah, and you don't have to worry about like costs and stuff like that. So, and I guess like the last part for just like travel tips in general for planning is like, how do you know? I guess how do you know that like when to go? Like once again, go back to my thing, like during the week, travel wise, like what do you do? Like, do you like to travel more weekends? Do you travel midweek?
Wait, before you move on from this topic, I do want to say one more thing about location.
Okay.
That's a really good point. I think, especially if you're in like a really big sprawling city where there's a lot of different areas you can visit, you should think about like, do I have a car or am I taking public transportation and Uber? Because obviously if you're Ubering here and there and you're not planning it accordingly, you're going to rack up a lot of charges. So I really love Google Maps for this. There's Google Maps. You can build your own map. So if you have a list of things you want to do, you can put them all in your Google map and see them in relative location to each other and kind of see, okay, these 4 things are like near each other, so I'm going to do them on the same day.
Offline maps helps you a ton.
Yes,
a huge
that's
amount.
A good point.
Especially if you're in the country or if you're in another like country that has like no Wi-Fi or anything like that.
Yes, where you're like getting off the grid a little bit. That's a really good point, for sure. That's all I wanted to add about that. But okay,
killing the vibe. You're killing it. Okay. But yeah, going back into I guess like the last part, and I'll kind of end on this note is really more of like when you plan your trips, like location wise is important, but also like when you travel. You'll definitely notice price fees change depending on where you travel. Like, I'm here right in Milwaukee, Wisconsin. But like, if you go travel out of our airport here versus traveling in like Chicago, like a big name city,
Yeah.
you can save yourself hundreds to maybe even thousands of dollars depending on how many people you have on the trip.
Yeah, because you don't have that connection potentially.
Yeah, a lot of flights come from like Milwaukee to Chicago, so like it's just like boom boom, and you pay for this like and then you stay in Chicago for like an hour, and this is also like when you come back too. So like I think the last part I wanted to really talk about was really like, where do you go, right? Do you go to like the local airport? And honestly, right now, especially with like COVID, I don't know if you've noticed this, but like flights are super expensive coming,
Yes.
and very few. Like there's not many.
They're
coming
limited options. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I just personally love the Milwaukee airport, so I try to fly out of there as much as I can. The convenience is kind of worth the price to me.
Do you park there?
No, I don't park there. I Uber, I take the bus, get dropped off, whatever. I don't park there, no.
Okay.
That's more of a Chicago thing, I guess, if I was going to go to Chicago.
Fair enough.
But yeah, Milwaukee airport, if you've never been, it's great. It's small.
Forget her. Chicago all the way. Airport. Save money.
Chicago.
Spend it.
I mean, I can agree with you there.
Yeah, there we go.
Chicago's
Cut.
a whole
Agreed.
other experience.
Cut. All right, so number 2 out of our top 5 tips would be budgeting. Spending money. Spend a lot of money. What do you do?
Yeah.
How do you know how much to spend? When do you cut it off?
I'm not a great person to give advice on this. I really don't budget.
What does that even mean?
I just go on the trip, and I deal with it later.
Souvenirs? Do you get like food?
Oh yeah.
What do you do?
I'm not gonna like limit myself. Well, I don't know, to some extent, but that's my terrible advice. Don't listen to it.
We ain't rich like her. As you guys have seen earlier, I'm all about price. And I guess for me, like honestly, like when it comes down to it, I like to budget around like price per lunch, like breakfast, dinner. I do go out and like have like a couple $100 like dinner or something like that. But like my idea is more like kind of split it up so that like by the end of the trip, you don't want to come back and be like, oh man, that like costed so much or whatnot.
But maybe you do because it's so fun.
Yeah, I don't know. But I guess for me, like events and like dinner are never like priced in, but like lunch and breakfast are definitely are.
Okay,
do you even have breakfast?
I will say for our Hawaii trip, like we did just take advantage of the hotel breakfast every day, and that probably saved us. If it was up to me, I would have like every meal planned at like a fun restaurant, which of course adds up. So taking advantage of like those free hotel breakfasts can go a long way too. Okay, Mike, I have a really important question for you.
What's number 1? What's the number 1 travel tip?
I want to know when you're packing, what
shoes?
What shoes do you bring? And how many shoes do you bring?
So a key part to traveling, and this has been like a multiple like decade thing. Shoes, and shoes. You will be walking everywhere. You'll be in the sand. You'll be in hot weather, cold weather. So like your shoes are really important. So I typically, honestly, I carry like, I don't know about you, but I always like travel with shoes down. And then I like have flip-flops, obviously for hotter areas, but like I always have those handy, which I like switch out between, but like, because they can fit into anything, carry-ons or whatnot. What about you?
Yeah, I agree. I definitely always have sneakers for the most part. Occasionally I'll leave them home in favor of maybe hiking boots if I know I'm going to be doing like serious hiking. But yeah, sneakers. My Birkenstocks are definitely a go-to for me. They go with everything. You can like dress them up or down, and they're very comfortable, so you can walk all day in them. And then usually I have like one pair of dress shoes, which now at this point it's usually just like a flat pair of sandals that are kind of dressy, that I can dress up if I need to, but they also don't take up too much space if I don't end up using them. So my rule of thumb is typically like I try to limit myself to 3 pairs of shoes unless like absolutely necessary to bring another one. Otherwise, that just takes up so much room. And like, as we already talked about, in your carry-on bag, you don't have unlimited space. So like trying to just maximize what you need. And you don't want to sacrifice comfort for style.
Breaking your shoes. Break in the shoes.
Yes.
And I always tell people spend a boatload. If this is your travel expense, this is your travel expense for shoes.
Yeah.
Because,
you don't want like bad shoes to like ruin your sightseeing experience because you're getting blisters or something. Like, yeah.
I would say when you even plan for your trip, like a lot of times at the very end of the trip, you'll see people like be like, "Oh, I don't want to go or do anything," and it's like because
sucks.
Shoes.
Well,
That's it. I guess really for us, that's our top 5 favorite tips. So ranging from budgeting to travel to planning, and now she's kicking stuff. So you know, it's time for us to go. You can tell because throughout the video, our drinking glasses went down a lot. So
yes, they did.
Yeah, and we refilled them. So you guys have a good one. Those are our top 5 favorite tips.
Bon voyage.
Take care.